Chapter 388. Su Jing seemed to have long since known that Dragon King wanted to take her as a disciple. Therefore, when Yi Chen arrived at the Core Elder Hall and informed her of his purpose, she was not too surprised. She merely nodded and asked, "In the past half a year, news about you has been spreading everywhere. Are you all right?" Yi Chen smiled. "How could I be all right? On the other hand, you don't seem to care much about Dragon King taking you as a disciple." "Actually, I've talked to Dragon King." "You've met Dragon King?" Su Jing shook her head. "No, it was just a voice transmission. He said that if I want to know my background, I must come to Dragon God's celestial palace. In the whole world, perhaps only he knows my background. Moreover, he can't confirm it at the moment." Background. Hearing these words, Yi Chen became pensive. In all these years, he indeed hadn't heard Su Jing talk about her family, and he hadn't asked about it either. It seemed that Su Jing's background was not simple. It had actually drawn Dragon King's attention. Only, how did Dragon King notice it was too puzzling? "If I told you that my memories before the age of 10 were blank, would you believe me?" Su Jing suddenly said. Yi Chen was surprised. How was it possible to have a blank memory before he was 10 years old? Unless he had been injured in the head and lost all of his memories, or someone had erased all of them. Both of these possibilities were extremely small, and it was the key to the problem. "I only know that when I woke up, I had the appearance of a 10-year-old. I couldn't remember anything before, and I didn't even know who my parents were. Later on, my foster parents found me and brought me back to the Su family. As their foster daughter, I got the name Su Jing. Can you remember something now?" Su Jing muttered, "I can remember a little bit intermittently, but I can't link them together." "Forget it. Since Senior Dragon King said that he might know something about my background, he'll know sooner or later, and I'll recover my memories." N. Yi Chen faintly nodded. Dragon King was one of the oldest kings of True Spirit Continent, so he must know a lot. Even Battle King couldn't compare. The next day, Dragon God's Celestial Palace's people arrived. There were 3 of them, led by a Sea of Soul Realm expert in his 30s. His eyes were sharp, and his pupils were vertical. They didn't look like human eyes, but more like those of a beast. Although he had restrained his aura, in Yi Chen's perception, his every movement seemed to raise a huge wave that wanted to drown Sky Cloud's sect. Terrifying indeed. However, he's still no match for Sect Master Long. Sect Master Long's aura seems to be shrouded in a dense fog, making it hard for one to see through him. Yi Chen shifted his gaze and looked at the 2 young men beside him. These 2 were a man and a woman. The man was about 24 or 25 years old, and the woman was also about the same age. Judging from their aura, they were clearly at the peak of late astral reaching realm. Moreover, their auras were extremely powerful. People with powerful auras didn't necessarily have powerful strength. It was just like the emperors in the secular world. Their strength might not be the highest, but as emperors, their auras were incomparably powerful. Those at the same level or stronger than them would be affected by their auras, unknowingly lowering their heads. Generally speaking, people with powerful auras were bound to have powerful souls and wills. Of course, it was also related to their environment. There was a good saying, "Better be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix." It was a kind of aura that was above others. 5th grade Dragon God's Celestial Palace is indeed not a small matter. 2 random youngsters have auras that surpass Xikongsheng, and are not inferior to Snowy Hall's disciple Feng Yanro. Since Su Jing can become Dragon King's disciple, her future achievements are guaranteed. Sucking in a deep breath, Yi Chen went up to greet them. "I'm Supreme Elder Yi Chen of Sky Cloud's sect." "And you are?" "You're Yi Chen." The young man looked straight at Yi Chen. "That's right. Not bad. No wonder Senior Sister Long thinks so highly of you." The young man didn't mean to look down on Yi Chen, but his tone gave off an old-fashioned feeling. It seemed to have become a habit of his. Faintly, there was also the arrogance of an expert. "Don't mind him. He talks like this no matter who he talks to." The young woman beside him said. Yi Chen faintly smiled, "Don't worry, I won't fuss over it. We are both teacher's disciples. Our teacher's identity is the Honorable Dragon King of True Spirit Continent, the Palace Master of Dragon God's Celestial Palace. This is my third senior brother Fong Hai. As for us two, because we haven't entered the Sea of Soul Realm, we don't have a ranking. We are merely teacher's disciples. I'm Li Ying, and he's Luo Jia." Li Ying introduced to Yi Chen. "Senior brother Fong Hai, you don't mind me calling you like this, right?" Although Yi Chen wasn't Dragon King's disciple, it didn't prevent him from calling this Sea of Soul Realm expert senior brother. After all, Su Jing would become Dragon King's disciple in the future, and he and Su Jing were once disciples of the same generation. This Fong Hai, who was in his 30s but still had the appearance of a young man, faintly smiled, "Of course I don't mind. Teacher once told me that your chances of entering the life and death realm are much higher than mine. I didn't believe it at first, but after seeing you in person, I believe it. I can hear a sword cry from your body, which is the sign of an extremely dense sword intent." Fong Hai himself was a swordsman, so he could sense the sword intent hidden deep within Yi Chen. However, since teacher doesn't intend to take you as a disciple, he must have his own plans. Here, as teacher's third disciple, I have to remind you that South Rudra region is only a very small region. The continent has 4 regions: Eastern region, Southern region, Western region, and Northern region. South Rudra region is only one of the 4 regions, and it is very small. Being able to stand out in South Rudra region is nothing. The geniuses outside are like the stars in the sky, countless. Every day, countless stars rise, and countless stars fall. If you want your star to blossom with a bright radiance, you will have a very long way to go. I, Fong Hai, have followed Master for dozens of years, and have met countless geniuses. Some of them even shock me, and they are very frightening. For example, in our southern region, there are a few young geniuses that even made teachers sigh in admiration. I believe you will meet them in the future. Therefore, don't slack off in the slightest, and don't disappoint teacher." It wasn't hard to see that Fong Hai was extremely respectful towards Dragon King. Since Dragon King thought highly of Yi Chen, Fong Hai treated Yi Chen as someone close to him and earnestly advised him. "Many thanks for senior brother Fong Hai's warning. Yi Chen will keep it in mind." Yi Chen could vaguely sense Fong Hai's sword Dao, which was as vast as the ocean. "Oh right, senior brother Fong Hai, sect leader Long has already left for Floating Mountain. Is everything alright?" Yi Chen suddenly asked. Fong Hai smiled, "It's the second senior sister, right? She's fine. Back then, Prison King was indebted to Tsang Emperor. After his death, Prison King promised to help Sikong family with 3 matters. Now, Sikong Ba must have contacted Prison King's direct disciple. Unfortunately, among the 6 disciples of Prison King, only the eldest disciple can suppress the second senior sister. Moreover, Prison King knows about teacher's actions in South Rudra region. The direct disciple he sent is only there to coordinate and won't fight. So it's like that." Yi Chen faintly nodded. His eyes moved to Su Jing, who was behind Yi Chen, and Fong Hai said, "Is this the junior sister disciple? Apart from cultivation base, there seems to be something else." Su Jing said indifferently, "I specialize in strength." "Specialize in strength? So that's how it is. Same as teacher." Fong Hai revealed a rather astonishing fact to Yi Chen. One of the oldest kings of True Spirit Continent, Dragon King, actually specialized in strength. The knowledge Battle King had imparted to him didn't mention this. "It's getting late. Junior sister, follow us back to Dragon God's Celestial Palace," Fong Hai said. Su Jing glanced at Yi Chen. Yi Chen revealed a faint smile, "Go. We'll meet again soon." That's not necessarily true. With teacher's guidance, our progress is not something you can imagine. If you don't redouble your efforts, you'll be eliminated. Luo Jia said indifferently. "Junior brother Luo, consider your words carefully. Yi Chen, we'll take our leave first." Feng Hai waved his hand, and Sea of Soul Realm Jin Yuan wrapped around Luo Jia, Li Ying, and Su Jing. Then, with 10 times the speed of sound, they disappeared into the horizon. Waiting until the four left, Cloud Dreamer said, "The direction is South Rudra sect. There should be a conveyor gate there. I should have thought of it long ago." Conveyor gate. Yi Chen wasn't a stranger to this term. He had experienced many conveyances himself, and was already used to this kind of spatial conveyance. However, constructing a conveyor gate was not a simple matter. The builder had to be a life and death king, and the conveyor gate's material had to be extremely sturdy, capable of withstanding the space's backlash. As for the energy, it was even more extraordinary. In the entire True Spirit continent, apart from Su King, who had once obtained an incomplete supreme-grade spirit vein, supreme-grade spirit stones were extremely precious to life and death kings. They couldn't be casually used to construct conveyor gates. Dragon King is indeed Dragon King. The aptitudes of those two young disciples are probably only comparable to you, Yi Chen. It's said that apart from the 5 Sea of Soul Realm disciples, Dragon King has a lot of astral-reaching disciples. I wonder what kind of geniuses Dragon God's Celestial Palace has. Thunder Freer had a sad look on his face. Yi Chen smiled and asked, "Seniors, how has Sky Cloud sect been developing these years?" "Thanks to you, the Sky Cloud Martial School is getting more and more prosperous. Within 10 years, we will have a huge batch of top-clasping Yuan Realm warriors and astral-reaching realm warriors." Talking about the development of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Cloud Dreamer and Thunder Freer were full of smiles. "That's good. I plan to go home and then leave South Rudra region. I'll leave Sky Cloud sect to you two seniors. Don't worry. You should be careful when you're outside alone." "I know." In Floating Mountain, a beam of light flew out. "Yi Chen, I've already given you a stable base. From now on, you'll have to rely on yourself." Long Bai said inwardly. Shwa! The beam of light flickered and soon disappeared. Floating Mountain Main Palace, I can see that Xing's potential is very good, and it's not like he doesn't have the chance to enter the life and death realm. As for other irrelevant matters, it's best if you don't interfere, lest you bring trouble upon yourself and ruin Floating Mountain's 10,000 years of foundation. And, this conveyor gate has 2 more uses. After those 2 uses, it will collapse on its own. Don't waste teacher's kindness carelessly. If there are 2 more uses, teacher won't care about you anymore. Taking a step forward, the youngster entered the conveyor gate's whirlpool. Waiting until the youngster left, Sikong Ba's face turned dejected as he ordered, "Send the order." From now on, Floating Mountain sect and Yi Chen's grudges are written off. Don't provoke Sky Cloud sect, Yi family, and South Rudra sect. Violators will be killed without mercy. All of you, step down. This result was completely out of Sikong Ba's expectations. The expert behind Yi Chen was actually Dragon King's second disciple, and also a direct descendant of Dragon King. Not to mention Floating Mountain sect was only a 6th grade sect, even a 5th grade sect with life and death kings couldn't compare to Dragon God's Celestial Palace. Dragon King was one of the strongest kings under Su King, and also one of the oldest kings. Chapter 389. Before returning to the Yi family, Yi Chen had left behind a large amount of low-grade spirit stones and martial arts manuals. In the Battle of Bewilderment Fog Island, dozens of astral-reaching experts had died at his hands, including the island master. Their storage rings had all fallen into Yi Chen's hands, causing Yi Chen's low-grade spirit stones to surpass 10 million, reaching a colossal amount of 15 million. Just the black-robed island master alone had contributed more than 5 million low-grade spirit stones. From this, one could see how wealthy Yi Chen was. Low-grade spirit stones didn't have much use for Yi Chen. Astral-reaching experts basically wouldn't use low-grade spirit stones to cultivate, and the items that astral-reaching experts needed couldn't be bought with low-grade spirit stones. Only mid-grade spirit stones were what astral-reaching experts needed. Therefore, Yi Chen directly gave Sky Cloud sect 8 million low-grade spirit stones. With enough low-grade spirit stones, the young generation of Sky Cloud sect would have enough resources to charge into higher realms. In true spirit continent, talent and perception were important, but resources were equally important. Fortuitous encounters could be classified as resources to a certain extent. After this trip home, I'll be leaving South Rudra region for a long time. Take these spirit stones as a farewell gift. On the summit, Yi Chen tore through the air and left Luo City. Yi family, in front of a lake that occupied dozens of acres, a figure stood there. Zzz, lightning flickered in the figure's hand, sometimes transforming into a bear, sometimes into a leopard, and sometimes into a lion. When in bear form, a frightening power gathered, enough to split mountains. When in leopard form, the lightning became much more agile, unceasingly leaping about. When in lion form, the power was boosted by speed, doubling its lethality. It was like a combination of bear and leopard form. Although Thunder Beast transformation is a hammer art manual, it doesn't hinder me from comprehending it. Earth-grade top-rank manuals are indeed extraordinary. In a short period of time, I can only comprehend the third transformation with my perception. There's still a long way to go before I can comprehend the fourth transformation. I feel that I can find the opportunity to fuse the 8 styles of Sky Cloud sword arts from Thunder Beast transformation. It was indeed Yi Chen. It had been 3 days since he had returned from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Besides the family meeting that he had to attend on the first day, the second and third days had been quite relaxing. He had been chatting with his parents, playing with his 3-year-old brother and sister, and trying to learn the Thunder Beast transformation to prepare for the sky-shattering clouds. Right now, the power of sky-shattering clouds was almost the same as the 8th movement of Green Lotus sword arts. However, this was not its full potential. If he could fuse it into the 8th movement, its power would definitely not be any weaker than the unfinished 9th movement of Green Lotus sword arts. Fusing the 9th movement would make it a low-rank profound sword movement. Although it would be a low-rank profound sword movement created by the fusion and not created by Yi Chen himself, there would not be any difference. They would all be his own profound sword movements, the ones that were most suitable for him. The 9th movement of Green Lotus sword arts does not need to be rushed. I feel that the sky-shattering clouds with the 8 movements will be created first. Fusing the sword movement sky-shattering clouds had consumed a lot of Yi Chen's energy and sweat, which made Yi Chen have a deep understanding of it. This was something that Green Lotus sword arts could not compete with. Wow! Such a beautiful lightning! Brother, how did you do it? A young voice was heard, with a strong sense of curiosity. Yi Chen turned around and saw 2 cute kids looking at the lightning in his hands. Their eyes were full of longing. Little Xian, little Xiao. A smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. The 2 kids were his younger brother and sister. The younger brother was called Yi Xian, and the younger sister was called Yi Xiao. Both of them were 3 years old this year, and were very lively and cute. Brother, teach me. The younger brother, Yi Xian, jumped and clapped his hands. Yi Xiao did not want to be outdone, teach me too. Little guy, don't make it hard for your brother. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing walked over. Father, mother. Yi Chen let go of the lightning and picked up Yi Xian and Yi Xiao. You can only learn when you grow up. Why can't I learn when I grow up? Yi Xiao blinked her eyes and asked back. Because it is not the time for you to train yet. Your brother, I, have also started training when I was 10 years old. For now, you just need to play. Looking at his younger brother and sister, Yi Chen recalled the time when he was young. At that time, he had asked his father and mother the same question. Clearing his throat, Yi Tianhao said, Chen as your father, I originally did not want to be an obstacle to you. However, in this half a year, I heard that you were being chased by 4 extreme astral reaching experts and were forced into the bewilderment fog forbidden zone. Your mother and I were very sad. This time, you want to leave South Rudra region and roam the continent. There will be many dangers along the way. What I want to know is, do you really have to leave South Rudra region? Perhaps, even in South Rudra region, you can become a peak existence. Shen Yuqing did not say anything, but from her eyes, one could tell that the two had the same opinion. Yi Chen glanced at the two and shook his head. Father, mother, do you know how big True Spirit Continent is? Ah! Yi Tianhao was a bit confused, not knowing what Yi Chen was trying to say. Adding them all up, there would be more than 35 of them. However, in every 100 years, there would not be more than 10 life and death realm warriors. Every 100 years, there would be dozens of young warriors. With so many geniuses, and less than 10 of them being able to become life and death realm warriors, it is not hard to imagine how intense the competition would be. Therefore, in a peaceful environment, one would eventually be overshadowed. If you do not try to improve, you would be surpassed by others. If you do not improve, it would mean that you are regressing. This world was never created for one person. If you want to reach the top, you can only rely on yourself. Yes, I am. But, I do not know how many young warriors would be born in this world. My generation would only take up 5 or 10 years of the time. In 100 years, there would be dozens of young warriors. With so many geniuses, and less than 10 of them being able to become life and death realm warriors, it is not hard to imagine how intense the competition would be. Therefore, in a peaceful environment, one would eventually be overshadowed. If you do not try to improve, you would be surpassed by others. If you do not improve, it would mean that you are regressing. This world was never created for one person. Yi Chen had never thought that he would become the main character of this world just because his soul had crossed over. Thinking back to the past, he had worked extra hard for every step he had taken. If he had thought that he would become the main character and did not strive to improve, then he would only be here as a visitor. He did not want his life to stop here and waste it. He wanted to use his own hands to reach the peak one after another. He wanted to understand all the mysteries of True Spirit Continent, no, the whole universe. Feeling Yi Chen's determination and will, Yi Tianhao smiled bitterly. He did not try to convince Yi Chen, but was convinced by him. The determination to become a powerful warrior was not something that could be easily changed. Without any reason, Yi Tianhao suddenly felt a strong sense of pride. He, Yi Tianhao, was only the leader of the Yi family, one of the 8 great families of Windy Nation. He was nothing in Windy Nation, and even less in South Rudra region. Compared to the whole True Spirit Continent, he was no different from an ant. But, what did it matter? He had a son who had a great ambition, a son who, in his opinion, could shake the whole True Spirit Continent in the future. People always said that like father, like son, his son was a real dragon. After chatting for a while, Shen Yuqing wanted to take Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao away, so that they would not disturb Yi Chen. Yi Chen laughed, "You guys go ahead. I will take care of them. A few days of cultivation won't make a difference. And, Big Brother will leave in a few days. Xiao Xiao wants to stay with Big Brother for a while longer." Yi Xiaoxiao hugged Yi Chen's neck. Shen Yuqing and Yi Tianhao smiled helplessly. Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao had not seen Yi Chen for 3 years, but they did not feel a sense of unfamiliarity. Instead, they were very close. Waiting until the two left, Yi Chen gave up on his cultivation and enjoyed the rare moment of relaxation. "Do you guys want to fly?" "Yes." "Alright, come one by one. Big Brother promises that you can fly by yourself." Just as the three were having fun, the space above the lake cracked open, as if a transparent mirror had been torn apart. At the same time, a kind-looking old man walked out. "You are Senior Dragon King." Yi Chen recognized the old man. He was precisely one of the oldest kings of True Spirit Continent, the Dragon King. Battle King had an impression of him. The Dragon King walked up to Yi Chen and caressed Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao's heads. "These are your brothers and sisters. They are very cute. I thank Senior Dragon King for his praise." Retracting his palm, the Dragon King turned his attention to Yi Chen and nodded satisfactorily. "Your appearance can be said to be an anomaly. I and Xianhou speculated that it would take a long time for South Rudra region to rise. However, you have broken this rule. The entire South Rudra region has begun to rise because of you. Its luck is also condensing. Although it is very, very weak, I can feel it. Anomaly? Yi Chen thought inwardly. He was indeed an anomaly. Who could have known that he came from another world? Even life and death kings were not omniscient. All of a sudden, the Dragon King pointed his finger at Yi Chen's forehead. An indescribable power poured into his sea of soul, but Yi Chen did not have any reaction. Retracting his finger, the Dragon King said with a stern face, "I came this time to give you a protective talisman." Yi Chen put down his brother and sister and touched his forehead. In his sea of soul, a bright radiance of will was floating below the sword spirit embryo. It did not occupy a dominant position, and seemed to be just a bystander, not under Yi Chen's control, nor could he sense its might. Giving protective talismans to geniuses with potential is very common. I am not the only one doing this. Therefore, don't think that you are getting preferential treatment. This protective talisman of mine is a strand of will. This strand of will can only be used by you when you are close to death. Once it is used up, it will be gone. In other words, it can save your life and give you a chance to start over. However, don't be careless. There are many geniuses with protective talismans. When you kill them until they are close to death, it will arouse their deep wills. Because this will is not yours, it can only passively defend. Of course, the defense will be raised to a frightening level. The might of a living king's will is beyond your imagination. Many thanks, Senior Dragon King. Yi Chen was not overly hot-blooded. Among the same generation, he was not afraid of anyone. However, there was the possibility of Sea of Soul Realm experts chasing after him. At that time, the Dragon King's will would be his protective talisman. Having seen the will statue, he clearly knew how frightening a king's will was. Although the Dragon King's will could only passively defend and could not amplify his offense, it was enough. No need to thank me. In the future, perhaps I will need your help. Leaving behind these words, the Dragon King took a step back. As he did so, the space split open, revealing the pitch-black interior. The Dragon King's figure disappeared inside, and the space closed up again. Grandpa is so powerful. He disappeared so quickly. Yi Xian raised his head and said. Yi Chen caressed his head, "Big brother will show you in the future." Chapter 390. After staying in the Yi family for 7 days, on the 8th day, Yi Chen set off. Just like Sky Cloud Martial School, Yi Chen also gave the Yi family a large amount of low-grade spirit stones and martial skills. However, the amount was a bit less, since the Yi family's population was small, and their demand could not be compared to Sky Cloud Martial School. Moreover, with the existence of Yi Chen, the relationship between the Yi family and Sky Cloud Martial School could be said to be quite close. As long as the disciples of the Yi family were not too lacking in talent, entering Sky Cloud Martial School would not be a problem at all. In Sky Cloud Martial School, they could also learn a lot of martial skills and receive more comprehensive training. Leaving South Rudra region, the Star Regional Lake was the only way. It had a circumference of several million li, and could be ranked in the top few among all the lakes in the True Spirit continent. Blood Demon Battlefield, Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, and other dangerous places were only at the edge of the Star Regional Lake, far from the core. The Blue Mountain Island should be in front, just like the map. Unknowingly, a month had passed, and Yi Chen gradually entered the depths of the Star Regional Lake. Above the Star Regional Lake, there were countless islands. The small ones were only a few li in circumference, while the big ones were tens of thousands of li in circumference. Most of the islands did not have any life, and only a few were inhabited by demonic beasts. Of course, there were also islands inhabited by humans. The island in front of him was 10,000 li in circumference. According to the Star Regional Lakes map, this island was called Blue Mountain Island. There was a small country established on it, with a population of over 100 million. Shwa! 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 A large number of martial artists left the Blue Mountain Island, and another large number of martial artists flew over. It was a scene of prosperity. Turning into a beam of light, Yi Chen landed in a city at the edge of the Blue Mountain Island. Walking on the street, watching the martial artists coming and going, Yi Chen thought to himself, this is indeed the true spirit continent. The population is unimaginable. Even a relatively large island has more than 100 million people. This city must have at least a few million people. The nation built on the Blue Mountain Island was called the Blue Mountain Nation. Don't look down on the Blue Mountain Nation. Although the population of the Windy Nation was 10 times more than the Blue Mountain Nation, the high-level martial artists were not even worth mentioning. The royal family of the Blue Mountain Nation had thousands of astral-reaching experts. More importantly, the Blue Mountain Nation had 5 Sea of Soul Realm experts. With these 5 Sea of Soul Realm experts, the Blue Mountain Island could be called a tyrant in this boundless star regional lake. Anyone under the life and death realm would have to think twice before making trouble. The number 3 Clasping Yuan Challenge Tournament is about to begin. Let's go check it out. Hee, of course, we have to go check it out. Why did we come to this Blue Mountain Island? Isn't it because there are all kinds of ancient ruins around the island? If we are lucky, we might be able to find some spirit plants and weapons. If we are unlucky, we might still be able to see the world. Apart from that, the Blue Mountain Island Challenge Tournament is one of the best. A lot of martial artists from the South Rudra region, Thunder region, Wavy Cloud region, and Misty Snow region have gathered here. On the street, the martial artists were discussing among themselves. Ancient Ruins, Clasping Yuan Challenge Tournament. Yi Chen revealed a smile. It was not without reason that he had chosen the Blue Mountain Island as his first stop. There was nothing special about this island, but the surroundings of the island were extremely special. Within 100,000 li radius, there were a lot of ancient ruins. Some were out in the open and could be seen from the sky, while some were in the depths of the lake, which could only be sensed after diving 10,000 meters deep. Because of the vastness of the Star Regional Lake, the bottom of the lake was not always calm. Instead, it was filled with turbulent undercurrents, which made it extremely easy to lose one's sense of direction. If it was easy to find, it meant that the treasures inside the ruins were all gone. If it was hard to find, it meant that there was still some profit to be made. Like a rolling snowball, more and more people arrived at the Blue Mountain Island. There were people from the South Rudra region, Thunder region, Wavy Cloud region, and even the Big Misty Snow region. The ancient ruins were an attraction, and the Blue Mountain Island Challenge Tournament was not any less attractive than the ancient ruins. Every region seemed to have their own challenges, and they were even more formal than the Blue Mountain Island Challenge Tournament. But, which region would have a lot of martial artists? The distance between regions was too far, and very few martial artists would go to other regions. On the other hand, the Blue Mountain Island was located in the center of the Star Regional Lake, which was almost the same distance from the other regions. It was like the center of the lake, and people from different regions were willing to come here. Not only could they observe the power and martial skills of the other regions, they could also explore the ancient ruins. It was like a dream island. Exploring the ancient ruins is not urgent. I should first figure out the distribution of the ancient ruins, as well as the specific location of some hidden ancient ruins. Moving blindly will only result in half the effort. However, this challenge tournament is indeed quite attractive. Up until now, I have not seen many martial artists from other regions. Although there are some in the Bewilderment Fog Island, they are not that powerful. Since the Blue Mountain Island can attract so many martial artists from other regions, it is naturally much better than the Bewilderment Fog Island. Stopping at the entrance of a restaurant, Yi Chen walked in. Taking a hot bath and eating a sumptuous meal, Yi Chen spent a total of 5 low-grade spirit stones. Perhaps in the secular world, 5 low-grade spirit stones were very expensive, but for martial artists, it was not worth mentioning. After giving the Sky Cloud School 8 million low-grade spirit stones and the Yi family 5 million, Yi Chen still had more than 2 million low-grade spirit stones. These 2 million low-grade spirit stones did not have much use, and could be used in daily life. As for the mid-grade spirit stones Yi Chen had, it was also a huge number, more than 1 million. If converted to low-grade spirit stones, it would be more than 50 million. Of course, no astral reaching expert would be stupid enough to exchange mid-grade spirit stones for low-grade spirit stones. There were 18 cities in the Blue Mountain Island, 3 of which were large cities, and 15 of which were medium cities. The city Yichen was in was called the Bluebird City. There was an antique street in the city, which didn't sell anything but antiques found in ancient ruins. The value of the antiques depended on the customer's taste. They might spend a lot of money and get a piece of trash, or they might spend a small amount of money and get a priceless treasure. The antique street was very long, and there was an endless stream of martial artists. On both sides of the street, apart from the simple and unadorned shops, there were even more stalls of different sizes. Behind each stall sat a martial artist. None of these martial artists had reached the astral reaching realm, and were all at the clasping yuan realm. Occasionally, there would be a few condensing reality martial artists. They were either bargaining with the customers, or closing their eyes to rest, waiting for the arrival of the customers. The atmosphere was quite lively. In the medium cities, martial artists below the astral reaching realm can set up stalls as they please. In the large cities, only martial artists above the astral reaching realm and above are allowed to set up stalls. However, this doesn't mean that there are no good items in the medium cities. On this antique street, there are quite a lot of astral reaching experts. I guess they are also looking for some treasures to take back. Faintly smiling, Yichen followed the crowd and entered the antique street. Strolling on the slightly crowded antique street, Yichen's soul power never stopped scanning. The antiques on the stalls could indeed be called antiques. Since the whole Blue Mountain Island was located in the Star Regional Lake, and the ancient ruins were also on the lake, these antiques had more or less been eroded by the lake water. Some of them were quite waterproof, and one could tell their shape and usage. Some of them were full of holes and rust, and one couldn't even tell what they were. Even so, the martial artists who came to the antique street were still in high spirits. Yichen even saw 2 clasping yuan martial artists quarreling over a piece of broken jade. There's actually a yuan light ball. Yichen's soul power was extremely sensitive, any antique that had yuan qi vibration could not hide from him at all. With a slight scan, it was imprinted into his mind. Yichen had seen a yuan light ball twice in total. The first time was given to him by Yi Hai, and he had used it in the 100,000 mountain range. The second time was with Luo Hanshan. Back then, they were being chased by the ghost corpse man, and Luo Hanshan had no choice but to use the yuan light ball to block a powerful attack launched by a powerful martial artist, which saved him from death. Perhaps the yuan light ball was completely useless to the current Yichen, but Yichen would never forget that it was the yuan light ball that had saved his life. Otherwise, he would have been killed by the mother vines on the edge of the mountain. Crushing a yuan light ball would be more than enough to block a full power attack from any clasping yuan realm martial artist. The defensive light shield formed by the yuan light ball was so powerful that even the mother vines could not break it with only one attack. If a clasping yuan realm martial artist had this yuan light ball, it would be equal to having an extra life. During a battle, if the yuan light ball was crushed, the defensive power of the martial artist would be greatly improved, and he would be able to easily chase after his opponent. I want this yuan light ball, 3,000 low-rank soul stones. I will pay 4,000. As Yichen had expected, once the crowd saw the yuan light ball, they immediately started bidding for it. Shaking his head, Yichen kept walking. When he was about to reach the end of the street, Yichen abruptly stopped. Excuse me, what is this? Picking up a red-colored, yellow-tinged wooden rooster from the stall on the left, Yichen asked. He smiled and said, "This is a puppet chicken." 5,000 years ago, there was a rank 5 martial institution called the Puppet Martial School. All of their disciples knew how to make puppet mechanisms. This puppet chicken is one of the unranked ones. Don't underestimate it, it is unimaginably exquisite. Just put a low-rank soul stone, and it will be able to walk on its own, and eat the pests on the plants. Young warrior, if you have your own herb garden, it would definitely be worth it. How about 3,000 low-rank soul stones? Puppet Martial School. I have heard of it. The wooden puppet in the Sky Cloud Martial School was indeed the work of the Puppet Martial School, which was a rank 5 martial school 5,000 years ago. It was not hard to imagine how powerful it was. There were many life and death realm warriors in the martial school. However, this puppet chicken in front of Yi Chen was obviously not made by a life and death realm warrior. It should be the work of an inner disciple. This puppet chicken was extremely lifelike, and had a hard exterior. Its eyeballs were 2 yellow gems, and there was a layer of black inside. As for its pest-killing function, it was indeed useful. One could naturally raise chickens in the herb garden, but one could not guarantee that they would not eat any herbs other than pests. I will buy it. Yi Chen did not really want it to kill pests. It was purely a personal preference, since the products of the Puppet Martial School were too rare. Right at this moment, a clear voice was heard, I will pay 5,000 low-rank soul stones. Give me the puppet chicken. A fragrant breeze blew past, and a young lady walked to the front of the stall. She was about 23 or 24 years old, with a petite body and a pretty face. However, there was a hint of arrogance in between her brows, which told Yi Chen that she was definitely not a virtuous person. Miss, this puppet chicken, the old man was a bit tempted. 5,000 low-rank soul stones was a huge amount for him. He wanted to sell this puppet chicken for a high price, but after a couple of days, a lot of people thought that the price was too high. After all, the puppet chicken did not have any use for cultivation, and it was only for collection. Almost all clasping Yuan realm warriors would not spend 3,000 low-rank soul stones on a puppet chicken. With so many low-rank soul stones, they might as well buy some pellets. Tempted was indeed tempted, but he was very wary of Yi Chen, because he could not see through Yi Chen's cultivation at all. Going back on one's word was a big taboo among warriors, and it was hard to guarantee that the opponent would not hold a grudge against you. All the big cities of the Blue Mountain Island did not allow reckless fights. Once outside the cities, it would be a lawless zone. Greed is not a good thing. Here are 20,000 low-rank soul stones. Take them, I will take the puppet chicken. Yi Chen ignored the young lady. Chapter 391. Hey, how much is the puppet chicken? Give me a price. I can still afford 100,000 or 200,000. Wrinkling her pretty nose, the young woman called out to Yi Chen. Yi Chen left without turning his head back, saying indifferently, sorry, I only want this puppet chicken. You're too difficult to talk to. How about this, I'll give you 30,000 mid-grade spirit stones, and you give me the puppet chicken. It was easy to see that she was very fond of the puppet chicken. 30,000 mid-grade spirit stones could buy a mid-grade artifact. Ordinary astral reaching experts would definitely be unable to resist this temptation. Of course, she was not a spendthrift either. It was just that the puppet mechanism spell had almost been lost in the true spirit continent, so it was hard to find any puppet products in the market. A lot of things were obviously useless, but the rarer they were, the more valuable they were, and the same applied to puppet products. Not for sale. Yi Chen threw out 2 words. Infuriating. The young woman hatefully glared at Yi Chen's back. If not for Blue Bird City forbidding brawls, and if not for Yi Chen's cultivation base not being weak, she would have long since taught him a lesson. How could she tolerate his arrogance? Humph. Senior Sister Feng said that Blue Mountain Island has many strange things. It's indeed so. Unfortunately, her interest was ruined by him. Miss, do you want to look at other antiques? I'll give you a discount. The old man had heard the conversation between the two. Knowing that the young woman was rich and overbearing, he said with a smile. Even if you give it to me, I wouldn't want it. A fragrant wind drifted in the air. The young woman's figure was like a wisp of cold air, shuttling through the crowd. Her frightening agility technique made some astral-reaching experts on Antique Street turn pale with fright. Outside the city, grass grew on both sides of the road. Yi Chen took out the puppet chicken, found the switch for spirit stones, and inserted a low-grade spirit stone. Hee hee hee. The puppet chicken's gem-like eyes swiveled around, and the hard feathers on its body began to tremble before arranging themselves in an orderly fashion. At the same time, the feathers on the puppet chicken's neck began to spread open, and it threw its head back to let loose a cry. Perhaps this was due to the refraction of sunlight, or perhaps it was due to the vital energy contained within its body, but the feathers on the puppet chicken's body seemed to have become softer than before, and they began to emit a dazzling light. Unbelievable! It looks exactly like a real rooster. At first glance, I would have thought it was a live chicken. Although the true spirit continent was a bit primitive in some aspects, it was also much more advanced than the world that I came from. No, with his 20 years of experience in that world, the puppet chicken's technology had already surpassed his imagination. But, it makes sense. Tao begets 1, 1 begets 2, 2 begets 3, and 3 begets everything in the world. Science is only one of the many paths in the world, and when you reach the extreme, you will reach the same destination. It does not have any superiority over the other paths. While pacing, the puppet chicken sensed a bug in the grass beside it. It walked over and pecked it to death. After a cup of tea's worth of time, the puppet chicken suddenly stopped moving. Low-rank spirit stones indeed can't support it for too long. This is still because the puppet chicken has a supply of spirit stones, and the exquisite parts inside its body can automatically absorb the natural yuan qi. Otherwise, it would have used up all of its energy in half a cup of tea's worth of time. Taking out the wasted low-rank spirit stone, Yi Chen inserted a mid-rank spirit stone into it. Hee 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 hee. The puppet chicken started to move again, and the colors on its body became brighter and brighter. Its bean-sized gem-like eyes flickered from time to time, looking extremely spirited. If I bring it to that world, even the word priceless wouldn't be enough to describe it. It would be a miraculous treasure, a miracle. Putting away the puppet chicken, Yi Chen sighed inwardly and flew toward a big city in the center of the Blue Mountain Island. Brothers, another fat sheep has come. Let's kill him and take his storage ring. In this world, there would always be some people who didn't like to work and liked to rob others to replenish themselves. The big cities of the Blue Mountain Island didn't allow wantonly fighting. Outside the cities, there were many bandits hiding in the depths of the mountains, waiting for the fat sheep to come knocking. Yi Chen's cultivation base was at late astral reaching realm. Perhaps in some small countries of the South Rudra region, he would be considered a powerful expert, and no one would dare to touch him. However, this was the Blue Mountain Island, where there were countless martial artists from different regions. Late astral reaching realm experts could be seen everywhere, so it was not a big deal at all. Dozens of people rushed out from the hidden area, and all of them had a cultivation base of late astral reaching realm. 1/3 of them had a cultivation base of peak late astral reaching realm. Unfortunately, they had chosen the wrong target. Without reducing his speed, Yi Chen pulled out the destruction sword. The sword light flickered and soared into the sky. Yi Chen flashed through the crowd's encirclement. He was so fast that the eyes couldn't even blink, and the sword light couldn't even disappear. Swoosh! 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 Blood splashed everywhere as dozens of people were killed in one sword strike. Holding their necks, they fell down, their eyes filled with disbelief. 13 people killed in one sword strike. Such a fast sword strike. When did another top sword artist come to the Blue Mountain Island? Too frightening. There were a lot of astral reaching realm experts passing by, but they were basically all in groups, so as to not become fat sheep and die on the spot. Interesting. Perhaps he is going to participate in the Astral Reaching Challenge tournament. If he were to participate in the Astral Reaching Challenge tournament, he would definitely have the confidence to win 10 in a row, and 20 in a row is also possible. 30 in a row and above would not be that easy. Yeah, after 20 in a row, his moves and habits would be completely understood. Another expert of the same level would be enough to beat him. Moreover, the Blue Mountain Island would not sit and watch one person win in a row. They would definitely send experts to stop him. There are only 24 people in the Blue Mountain Island with 50 in a row in the past 10 years, and only one with 100 in a row. How many powerful experts have not been able to go through 50 battles? After all, in the challenge tournament, one can't wear a defensive artifact, and the weapons in their hands have to be Blue Mountain Island standard weapons. If one wants to win, one can only rely on one's cultivation base and martial arts. However, the Blue Mountain City has recently produced a super character with 50 in a row. I heard that it is the head disciple of the Cloud Billow region's mysterious moon pavilion, Chu Zhongyue. His martial arts are very special, and ordinary people would not be able to see through it. His habits are also ever-changing. The people who have lost to him thought that they had seen through his moves, but when it comes to the real battle, not a single one of them is not confused. Blue Mountain City's Feng Yenro has also won 40 in a row. 50 in a row is not far away. Feng Yenro. Could it be the second disciple of the Misty Snow region's snowy palace, the snowy sword artist Feng Yenro? Indeed. It's getting more and more interesting. Feng Yenro can absolutely be ranked in the top 5 of the young generation of the Misty Snow region, maybe even top 3. And after 50 in a row, every 9 battles, the 10th battle will be against another 50 in a row warrior. The winner can continue, and the loser will have to stop. My heart is itching. Let's go take a look. Hearing these people's conversation, the corner of Yi Chen's mouth hooked into a smile. The astral reaching tournament in the Blue Mountain Island was indeed challenging. There were no defensive artifacts, and all the attacking weapons were standard weapons of the Blue Mountain Island. In this way, a portion of the extreme astral reaching experts would also drop a level. After all, the basic requirement to become an extreme astral reaching expert was having a mid-grade defensive artifact and mid-grade offensive artifact. Without these two, one's battle power would naturally drop. Of course, the powerful extreme astral reaching experts would still be powerful without their mid-grade artifacts, and would be comparable to ordinary extreme astral reaching experts. As for winning in a row, of course, it would not be that easy. Not to mention the fact that the more times one participated in the tournament, the more one's moves and habits would be known by others. Moreover, after a long battle, one would inevitably lose the vigor they had at the beginning, and would become more and more tired. At this point, an expert of the same level would be able to end one's winning streak. Even if one passed this stage, the following experts would be even more powerful. Nobody was an idiot. Knowing full well that they were not your opponent, why would they go up? Only those who were confident would go up. After defeating one, the next one would be even more powerful. The Blue Mountain Island would also send out powerful experts to stop them. If it was really not possible, then after 50 battles, the other two cities' 50-win streak experts would also fight with you, exposing more of your hidden strength and preparing for the next one. In the past 10 years, only one person has maintained a 100-win streak record. I reckon that person has an overwhelming strength. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. The Blue Mountain Island had 3 big cities with a population of more than 10 million. They were the Blue Mountain City, the Blue Crest City, and the Blue Water City. The one Yi Chen came to was the Blue Water City. The Blue Water City was huge, and the city gate was 100 meters tall. There were at least 10 million permanent residents inside. Adding the floating population, it would be 15 million for sure. On the main road, which was wide enough for 32 horses to walk side by side, warriors were coming and going like a black flood. Judging from the degree of prosperity, it was even more prosperous than the martial city of the Black Dragon Empire in the South Rudra region. It was not hard to imagine how popular the Blue Mountain Island was. Without asking for directions, Yi Chen followed the crowd and arrived at the east side of the city. There were no random buildings there, only a huge battling field. It was hundreds of miles in radius, surrounded by a high wall. The guards outside the wall were fully armed, looking very serious. There were a lot of entrances to the battling field. Yi Chen arrived at one of them. On the side of the entrance, there was an announcement board, on which was written, "Entrance fee is 50 mid-rank spirit stones or 5,000 low-rank spirit stones. Please enter after applying for a VIP tag." Troublemakers will be killed without mercy. Low-rank spirit stones are indeed not worth much. The exchange rate with mid-rank spirit stones is 100 to 1. Clasping Yuan realm warriors would run out of money after seeing it a few times. Although Yi Chen had a lot of low-rank spirit stones, there was no need to be so stingy with mid-rank spirit stones. He was an astral-reaching realm warrior, and using low-rank spirit stones to pay the entrance fee was too stingy. After paying the 50 mid-rank spirit stones, Yi Chen followed the entrance and entered the battling field. As far as the eye could see, the spectator seats were filled with people. The noise was so loud that it reached the sky and was deafening. Yi Chen arrived neither too late nor too early. The seats in the front were all filled, but there were still some seats in the middle. Finding a seat and sitting down, he looked around. Most of the people here were astral-reaching realm warriors. There were only a few clasping Yuan realm warriors. And in the middle, below the spectator seats, 2 astral-reaching realm warriors were fighting fiercely. Magnificent Jin Yuan ripples were leaking out from time to time. Lu Zhendong has won. Which hero will go up next? If you can win against Lu Zhendong, not only will you get 1000 mid-rank spirit stones, you will also end his winning streak. This is a good opportunity to become famous. If you can win 10 times in a row, our Blue Mountain Nation will award you a 10 times in a row token. You will get a 5% discount anywhere in the Blue Mountain Island. If you win 20 times in a row, you will get 10%, 15%, 20%, and 50%. Besides the necessary mid-rank spirit stones, you will also get 500 upper-rank spirit stones as a reward. On the battling field, a black-robed old man said with a loud voice. Chapter 392. Damn it, this Lu Zhendong is not that strong. I will go and fight him. The sturdy middle-aged man next to Yi Chen stood up and flew to the battling platform. Contestants who had won less than 10 battles in a row had to pay an entrance fee, but it was not much, 500 mid-rank soul stones per battle. The first battle would be 1000 mid-rank soul stones, the second battle would be 2000, the third battle would be 3000, and so on. After 10 battles in a row, there would be no need to pay an entrance fee. You are not my opponent. Get down. Lu Zhendong was a blade artist. He had already won 9 battles in a row and was 1 battle away from 10. The sturdy middle-aged man held the Blue Mountain Island standard iron hammer and snorted, "If you want to beat me, you will have to ask the iron hammer in my hand first." Chin. What answered him was a blade light that was as fast as lightning. The blade light was like a phantom as it cut through the air and hit the iron hammer in the sturdy middle-aged man's hand. This blade attack was unbelievably fast. Using chi to control the blade. He is an expert. Yi Chen saw through Lu Zhendong's attack with one glance. There were countless weapons in the world, and each had its own way of using them. However, all of them had the same origin. There were 3 realms of using the sword: using the body to control the sword, using chi to control the sword, and using the intent to control the sword. The body referred to the body and the strength of the body. Everyone knew this realm, but there were not many people who were good at it. Some people wasted a lot of energy, but the speed of the sword was not ideal. Some people could easily make the speed of the sword reach a horrifying level. This was the gap between the techniques, and it needed to be tempered in order to improve. Using chi to control the sword was much better than using the body to control the sword. The body did not move, but the chi was already out. This chi was the energy inside the warrior's body. Although many people had high cultivation, they might not have mastered the technique of using chi to control the sword. Using Jin Yuan in the palm and then using the sword was not called using chi to control the sword, but it was at most an enhanced version of using the body to control the sword. This was because the main idea of using chi to control the sword was to use chi as the main force, and the body as the support. The strength of the body was used as a support. Finally, he used his will to control the sword. This will was the will. The will was formless, and because it was formless, the speed of the sword could reach an unfathomable level. Once the sword was unleashed, no one could block it. Currently, Yi Chen had only reached the level of using qi to control swords. At most, he had his own insights in using qi to control swords, and he was considered one of the best. As for using one's will to control the sword, it was too difficult. It was not something that could be achieved with the will of the sword. Otherwise, a swordsman who had comprehended the will of the sword would be a top-notch expert. Blazing sparks splashed in all directions. The sturdy middle-aged man's iron hammer didn't even have time to attack before it was struck by the long saber and flew out of his hand. Lu Zhendong has won 10 times in a row. Congratulations on the birth of another strong person with 10 wins in a row. Congratulations to him for stepping down now. Tomorrow, he will continue to create glory. The black-robed old man shouted. The rule of the arena tournament was that one could only win 10 matches in a day. If one wanted to continue fighting, they would have to wait until the next day. If one did not have a 10-match winning streak, it did not matter how many times one participated in the tournament, as long as one did not win 10 matches in a row. Of course, if one insisted on participating, it was not impossible, but it would not be counted into the winning streak, and the rewards would be recalculated. Roar! Lu Zhendong roared into the sky. He himself was a bit excited. After winning 10 matches in a row, besides the 500 mid-rank soul stones that he would have to pay for each battle, he would also be able to earn 50,000 mid-rank soul stones, which was not a small amount. It was equivalent to all of a normal astral reaching realm warrior's wealth. If he could continue to win, the rewards would only get more and more, and it would be even faster than robbing. Unlucky. The sturdy middle-aged man returned to his seat next to Yi Chen and mumbled to himself. Yi Chen chuckled. The middle-aged man's power was not bad. If it were some other opponent, he might be able to win a couple more battles, and earning some mid-rank soul stones would not be a problem. Who else wants to go up? Also, the friend who maintained a 10-match winning streak yesterday should go up as well. If one day is broken, the winning streak will be invalid. Me. Just as the black-robed elder finished his sentence, a middle-aged man with short hair flew onto the stage. Alright, Yan Hanlai is going up. He was the warrior with 10 wins in a row yesterday, and his highest record was 10 wins in a row. I wonder if he can reach 20 wins in a row today. Let's wait and see. Right now, we are waiting for the challenger to come up. If you can beat him, you will be the new champion. Phew. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen stood up. It was time to loosen up. He did not come to Blue Mountain Island for sightseeing. The rewards of the challenge tournament were also very tempting. Little brother, you want to challenge Yan Hanlai? The sturdy middle-aged man looked surprised and said, although he is only a warrior with 10 wins in a row, he is very powerful among those who have 10 wins in a row. His frigid wave fist is enough to freeze his opponent's chi and blood. It's better to wait for him to come down and replace him with a weaker opponent. No need, it's him. Stretching his body, Yi Chen landed on the vast arena. Young people are full of vigor, but they also need to be brave and smart. The sturdy middle-aged man shook his head. In the VIP room in the front row, the eyes of a beautiful young lady brightened. She pulled the corner of the clothes of the beautiful lady beside her and said, "Senior Sister Feng, it's him who stole my chicken puppet. I'm so angry. I didn't expect him to come up and compete again." The beautiful lady was wearing a snow-white dress. Her hair was like a waterfall, and her eyes were like stars. There was a snowflake pattern on her forehead, making her look holy and beautiful. Who else could it be but Feng Yanro? Seeing Yi Chen appear, she was somewhat surprised and said, "Qingzhu, stop messing around. 2 months ago, he was the one who helped me kill Gao Qianhe." Impossible. Him. Don't look down on him. His strength should not be below mine. Humph, that Gao Qianhe was badly wounded by Senior Sister. He is just picking up the loose ends. I want to see how strong he is. Qingzhu didn't speak anymore and stared at Yi Chen's figure. On the vast arena, Yan Hanlai and Yi Chen stood opposite each other. The arena was 2 li in both width and length, and was surrounded by empty ground. It occupied an even wider area, reaching dozens of li. The aftermath of the battle between astral-reaching experts would find it hard to cross dozens of li and injure the spectators. Who are you? Tell me your name. Yan Hanlai, who was wearing Blue Mountain Island's standard gauntlet, said in a loud voice. Yi Chen. Yi Chen's tone was indifferent. His right hand was caressing the sturdy long sword. The long sword wasn't an artifact, but its toughness was comparable to a low-grade artifact. It could bear the Jin Yuan of an astral-reaching expert. Alright, Yi Chen, I'll send you off the arena. Yan Hanlai was extremely confident. His right foot cracked the arena, and with a dive, he appeared in front of Yi Chen. His right fist, wreathed in icy cold qi, directly punched out. The powerful Jin Yuan ripple caused the natural Yuan qi to change, as if an extremely cold tide was rushing over. Ting! The sword sound was heard, and the sword light dazzled Yan Hanlai's eyes. The next second, Yi Chen's sword was already less than an inch away from Yan Hanlai's throat. You have lost. The long sword shone brightly, and the icy cold qi was torn apart before it could even get close. How is this possible? I didn't even see how he attacked. Yan Hanlai's eyes were wide open. In the audience seating, a group of people who had seen Yi Chen attack before blurted out, "It is him. He killed 13 people with one sword attack. He is indeed powerful. Today's 10 wins in a row must be his. Killing 13 people with one sword attack. Is that true?" Some people didn't believe it. Keep watching and you will know. On the arena, the old man in black walked over with a smile. This young warrior's sword is so fast. He defeated Yan Hanlai, who won 10 wins in a row yesterday. Such power is admirable. Right now, he is the host of this arena. Is there anyone who wants to challenge him? Of course, if you don't think he has the power, I won't force you. The old man in black was good at stirring up people's emotions. Although Yi Chen's sword was fast, because he didn't use his full power, it was still within the range of what most people could handle. Hearing the old man's words, how could those who thought they had the power to stand it? I, Gao Tianyu, would like to experience your sword moves. A person in the front row stood up. He didn't have a sword on him, but the sword aura he gave off was not to be underestimated. Obviously, he was also a sword expert. Chin. Taking out the Blue Mountain Island standard long sword, Gao Tianyu's eyes shone with a cold light as he stared at Yi Chen, hoping to find a flaw. Yi Chen smiled helplessly, purposely creating a flaw. He didn't want to waste time with his opponent. There's a flaw. Gao Tianyu squinted his eyes and waved his long sword. Like a poisonous snake coming out of its hole, it spat out a threatening sword light and pierced towards Yi Chen from a strange angle. As the sword light approached, Yi Chen took out his sword and attacked. Chi! The hair in front of Gao Tianyu's forehead was cut off, and his body froze. For a split second, he thought he was dead. Yi Chen's sword was so fast that he lost all 5 of his senses. It would have been better if he didn't exchange moves with Yi Chen, but once he did, he realized how big the gap between them was. Wow, so powerful! The muscular middle-aged man who was sitting with Yi Chen couldn't help but blink his eyes and gasp. Using qi to control the sword. Lu Zhendong's expression was full of excitement. Besides earning mid-rank spirit stones, his biggest interest was battling with powerful warriors. Since it was rare to die in the arena, the Blue Mountain Nation had a rule that no killing was allowed when it was not necessary. Perhaps you could say that you were only a little bit stronger than your opponent and couldn't hold back, but in the following battles, once you revealed even more power, then the Blue Mountain Nation would judge you as killing on purpose. A light punishment would be expulsion, and a heavy punishment would be killing the chicken to warn the monkey. 3 wins in a row. 4 wins in a row. 8 wins in a row. 9 wins in a row. Soon, Yi Chen had already won 9 battles in a row. With one more win, he would be able to get a 10-win tag, which would give him a 5% discount on all purchases and 50,000 mid-rank spirit stones. I can't watch anymore. What is so powerful about him? Sister Feng, I will go challenge him. Qingzhu, who was sitting right next to Feng Yanro, stood up angrily, pushed open the VIP room door and walked out. Feng Yanro shook her head, but did not stop her. Qingzhu was not weak, no, she was actually very powerful. She was a top astral reaching realm warrior. Most importantly, her step art was very powerful, and her dodging ability was extremely powerful. Plus, she had also battled with extreme astral reaching realm warriors before. Within 100 attacks, extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not be able to do anything to her. Plus, she also wanted to see if Yi Chen was as powerful as she had predicted. Chapter 393. Interesting. He is a disciple from the Fluttering Snow Martial School. In another VIP room, two young men were sitting side by side. The one who spoke was a tall and strong young man, and the one beside him was quite handsome. He had a golden crown on his head, and his face was like jade. If there were any knowledgeable people here, they would definitely recognize him. He was the head disciple of the Mysterious Moon Martial School, the Mysterious Moon Prince. The prince said, there must be some kind of grudge between them. Before 20 wins in a row, no powerful warriors would challenge them. They have to give them a chance. Yeah, I think so. This Yi Chen is going to be unlucky. He was so close to 10 wins in a row, but he failed at the last step. But it is good. We can take him down a bit. Every match is decided by one sword attack. He thinks he is so powerful, and in order to be in the limelight, he has revealed his true power too early. Now, he has run into an iron plate. Serves him right. In the eyes of the tall young man, Yi Chen had already tried his best. Even if he still had hidden power, there would not be much left, and he would lose sooner or later. What he did not know was that Yi Chen had already tried his best to control his power, but the opponents in the previous 9 battles were just too weak. He did not even have the mood to play. Qingzhu was also a sword artist. She took out the Blue Mountain Island standard long sword and pointed it at Yi Chen. Give me the chicken puppet, and I will let you lose with dignity. Yi Chen said lightly, make your move. If you win, I will give you the chicken puppet. If you lose, don't bother me anymore. Damn, who do you think you are? Take this. Hearing this, Qingzhu was furious. Yi Chen's tone made her very unhappy, as if it was impossible for her to win. The sword art of the Fluttering Snow Martial School was famous for being ethereal and cold. Once the sword was thrown out, the air would freeze and ice crystals would fall down. The invisible sword chi would be hidden in the cold wind, blowing more and more fiercely. Then, snowflakes started to fall from the sky. These snowflakes were like the eyes of the sword chi. Wherever they fell, the sword chi would follow. Ding! Dang! Faced with so many sword chis, Yi Chen drew his sword and slashed through the air. Not only did he block off the onslaught of the sword chis, but he also drew the surrounding snowflakes over, causing the green bamboo's sword chis to become chaotic and lose their original artistic conception. More and more snowflakes accumulated, finally forming a huge snowball, condensing on the tip of Yi Chen's sword. Yi Chen smiled indifferently, suddenly thrusting out his sword. Pu 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 pu, snowflakes swirled and exploded in the air. Yi Chen's sword chi tore through the void and slashed out with incomparable sharpness. Not good, it's snowing. Qingzhu was shocked and retreated. His sword technique changed from its previous illusory and ethereal style to a similarly fierce one. The icy sword chi immediately swirled up the snow in the air. It was like a poem or a painting, and it contained an astonishing sword intent and a piercingly cold chi. Bang! The two sword chis clashed, and a few huge cracks appeared on the stage that was made of special metal. The cracks spread quickly and affected the entire stage. Qingzhu had a cold smile on his face. He moved like a ghost, moving around the area where the shockwaves were weak. He was like a formless cold chi, quickly approaching Yi Chen. "Didn't anyone tell you that your footwork has extra movements?" Yi Chen's voice was heard, along with a sword. It was a very ordinary sword, but in Yi Chen's hand, it was extremely sharp. The sword light was dense, and it cut off a few strands of Qing Zhu's black hair. The dazzling sword light almost blinded Qing Zhu's eyes. Extra movements? Yes, Qing Zhu has been chasing after the poetic perspective too much, and has missed out on the practicality. There is no most powerful footwork art, only the one that suits you the best. Feng Yanro frowned a little, but soon relaxed again. Qing Zhu was just like her. They had both trained the low-rank profound sword art of the Snowy Martial School, which was created by the leader herself. Since they had not trained any of the top-rank Earth Realm sword arts to completion, they would not be able to learn the profound beyond the poetic perspective. But, using the poetic perspective to activate the Ice Snow Sword Realm was still not something to be underestimated, since it was created by a master-level Sea of Souls Realm warrior after all. Even if she could only bring out 10% of its essence, it would be more than enough for her to look down on warriors at the same level. But, Yi Chen is indeed very powerful, and his sword is very fast. Even I would not have the confidence to win against him. Qing Zhu is a bit too much after all. Never mind, no matter if he wins or loses, I will try to solve the conflict between them after the competition. Qing Zhu is just too childish. After cutting off a couple of strands of Qing Zhu's hair, Yi Chen did not follow up with another attack. If he wanted to, that sword attack would have killed her already. Backing out dozens of meters, Yi Chen said, "You are not my opponent. Is there a winner yet? Don't look down on me." Ice Snow Sword Realm. Qing Zhu was shocked by Yi Chen's sword attack, and she started to get frustrated. She did not expect that she would not be able to teach her opponent a lesson, but would be taught a lesson instead. She performed a sword spell with her left hand, and the protective Jin Yuan around Qing Zhu's body shattered and merged into her body. In the next second, a circle of white light expanded out, protecting Qing Zhu in the center. The white light was constantly spinning, and within it, beams of white gold sword light appeared. The sword light connected with each other, forming layers and layers of mysterious defense. Lose now. With the protection of the Ice Snow Sword Realm, Qing Zhu gave up on using her step art. Her body flashed once, shooting right at Yi Chen. She did not believe that he would be able to break through her Ice Snow Sword Realm. Among all the disciples, besides the head disciple, only Sister Feng Yanro could use her Ice Snow Sword Realm's attacking sword movement, Sword Realm Cut. Normally, it would take at least 3 sword attacks. This was the self-created low-rank profound sense sword movement of the Snow Sword Martial School, which was even more powerful than normal low-rank profound sense martial arts. Over at the audience seating, the people who knew about it started to discuss. She has actually trained the Ice Snow Sword Realm. With it, even people who are more powerful than her would not be able to break through her defense. The reason why the Snow Sword Martial School could become a master-level Sea of Souls realm at the age of 40 is because of the Ice Snow Sword Realm. The power of this low-rank profound sense sword movement lies in its ability to switch between offense and defense, which is extremely hard to deal with. It seems like the Snowy Sword Martial School has already realized that this is the era of geniuses, so they have started to teach low-rank profound sense martial arts to increase their disciples' power as much as possible, just in case. I don't think it is only the Snowy Sword Martial School. All the other big martial institutions have made their moves as well. The world is going to change soon. Qing Zhu was not that famous, but even she had trained a low-rank profound sense sword movement. So, a lot of things could be seen from that. Ice Snow Sword Realm. I have been wanting to try it out for a long time. The reason why Yi Chen held back his sword attack before was because he wanted to try it out. If his opponent did not train it, then he would not want to play with it anymore. Ting! 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 The sword light was like rain, aiming at the flaws of the Ice Snow Sword Realm. But, since the Ice Snow Sword Realm was so easy to break, it would no longer be a low-rank profound sense sword movement. That sword light connected from head to tail, burning out Yi Chen's sword chi at an extremely fast speed. If I had used 30% of my power, it would have been easy to break through the ice snow sword realm. But it would not be fun anymore. Yi Chen's ultimate power was not in his cultivation, nor in his martial arts, but in his sword intent. Before his sword intent came out with the spirit light, it was already similar to normal Sea of Souls realm sword artists. But, with the spirit light, he would be able to compete with the powerful Sea of Souls realm sword artists. Once he used all of his sword intent, he could not think of any astral-reaching realm warrior that could be his opponent. He would be able to kill all of them. But, there would be plenty of opportunities for him to run into low-rank profound sense martial arts in the future, so this would be a good chance for him to train himself. Countless green lotuses bloomed, surrounding Qing Zhu and continuously wearing out the power of the ice snow sword realm. That unbreakable sword chi was able to find the real flaws of the ice snow sword realm. Bastard! Fight me face to face if you dare. Yi Chen's sword was too fast, faster than Qing Zhu's reaction speed. She threw out 3 sword attacks, but Yi Chen threw out at least 6 sword attacks, which made her unable to do anything. Her sword chi could not even touch Yi Chen's body. Face to face? Sure. The green lotuses disappeared, and Yi Chen's sword aura changed. Thunder appeared out of nowhere, and that exploding sword light shot out, landing on the ice snow sword realm outside of Qing Zhu's body. Pap! The thunder snakes moved around, and the thunder light flashed. Qing Zhu backed out 10 steps. Sky-shattering clouds. Yi Chen's eyes were sharp as he waved out his long sword. An arm-thick sword light drew an arc in the air, attacking towards the most intense vibration of the ice snow sword realm. Swoosh! The sound of cloth tearing was heard. Qing Zhu's ice snow sword realm was forcibly broken. The sword light inside the ice snow sword realm was chaotic, and poured out through the holes. The arena was full of holes. The power was so great that it made many people in the audience secretly click their tongues. The ice snow sword realm has been broken. Feng Yanro stood up suddenly. If Yi Chen had used his power to break through the ice snow sword realm, she would not have been that surprised. But, Yi Chen seemed to have suppressed his power, using the same amount of power to break through the ice snow sword realm, which shocked her a lot. The ice snow sword realm itself is perfect, but once it loses its balance, it will not be perfect anymore. The sword light is connected from head to tail. If one part is wrong, then all the other parts will be wrong. So, that is how it is. Feng Yanro was indeed a sword artist genius. After thinking for a while, she had already seen through most of Yi Chen's breaking method. Of course, it was also because Qing Zhu was not very familiar with the ice snow sword realm. If it were Feng Yanro herself, it would not be that easy to break. Plus, the weakness of the ice snow sword realm was not the weakness itself. The real ice snow sword realm was indeed perfect, but they had not learned the profound yet. There were still some areas that they could not grasp. Yi Chen's breaking method had helped her improve her ice snow sword realm. Since the ice snow sword realm had been broken through, it meant that Qing Zhu had lost. She was not happy about it. If she had learned the sword realm cut, then she would not have been so passive, and Yi Chen would not have found her weakness. The ability to switch between attack and defense was the power of the ice snow sword realm. 10 wins in a row. Another 10 wins in a row. Congratulations to Yi Chen for becoming the 4th warrior with 10 wins in a row today. Tomorrow's battle, we will see if he can continue his winning streak and make it 20 wins in a row. Let's wait and see. Now, please get off the stage and get your 10-win tag and the soul stone reward. The elder in black walked onto the broken stage and said with a loud voice. The tag was a black iron tag, with a cross carved on it, representing 10 wins in a row. With this tag, one could enjoy a 5% discount anywhere on the Blue Mountain Island, including all the stalls. Besides that, the accumulated mid-rank soul stone reward for 10 wins in a row would be 55,000. After deducting the entrance fee for 10 battles, there would still be 50,000 mid-rank soul stones, which was what made all the astral-reaching realm warriors go crazy. This guy is quite powerful, but that is all. The mysterious Moon Prince said lightly. The tall young man laughed. If he can still win in a row tomorrow, then I will go fight him the day after. But, after 10 wins in a row, it will be the real test. Perhaps there will be warriors with 30 or 40 wins in a row who could not wait to go up there and torture people. Chapter 394. Mr. Yi, please stay. Putting away the tag and 50,000 mid-rank soul stones, Yi Chen was no longer interested in watching anymore. Just when he was about to leave, Feng Yanro walked over with Qingzhu. Yi Chen turned around, not looking surprised at all. Feng Yanro was the warrior with 40 wins in a row in the Blue Mountain City, and he had already heard about her. Naturally, he knew that she was on the Blue Mountain Island. Plus, Qingzhu had performed the profound sword art of the Snowy Sword School, which meant that she and Feng Yanro were from the same sect. Miss Feng. Yi Chen nodded and stopped walking. Feng Yanro smiled lightly and said, "If you don't mind, let's go to the tea house. Last time, I did not have the time to thank Mr. Yi. This time, I will not be so rude." "Of course. Miss Feng, please lead the way." Yi Chen seemed to be very calm. In fact, there were not many things that could make him nervous. It did not matter if the other party was a top warrior or a peerless beauty. Nothing could shake his mind, unless the other party was a couple of realms higher than him and was purposely targeting him. The Quiet Tea House was a famous tea house in the Blue Water City. From the outside, it did not look luxurious at all. In fact, it looked a little shabby. Only by looking at it calmly would one be able to see its uniqueness. It was like a cup of tea that needed to be savored carefully. On the second floor of the tea house, the three sat by the window. "Mr. Yi, I already know about the thing between you and Qingzhu. Here, I apologize on her behalf. I hope you do not mind." Once they sat down, Feng Yanro said sincerely. Yi Chen smiled and said, "It is just a small thing. No need to be so formal." "Ha!" Qingzhu pouted her small mouth and snorted. Feng Yanro rolled her eyes at Qingzhu and looked at Yi Chen again. "Thanks to Mr. Ye's help last time, Yanro was able to take revenge for my dead sister disciple. If Mr. Yi has any problems, please do not hesitate to tell me. There's actually no need for that. I'm only doing what I can and what I'm interested in. If it happens again, I might do something else." Yi Chen didn't think he had done anything wrong, nor did he want anything. The tea was served. He picked up the teacup in front of him and took a sip. "Mr. Yi, you are too humble. No matter what, Yanro owes you a favor." Feng Yanro picked up the teacup, but then suddenly put it down. She sent a Jinyuan message to him. "Mr. Yi, I wonder if you know about the puppet school, which specializes in puppet arts. The 5th grade sect puppet sect from 5,000 years ago." "Indeed. In terms of individual power, this puppet martial school is only a normal rank 5 martial school. They have 2 life and death realm warriors, but they are not that outstanding. It's just that during the era of the puppet martial school's existence, they were so powerful that they were the top rank 5 martial schools in the whole True Spirit continent. Because of the puppet martial school's puppet arts, the general power of the martial school had doubled or even tripled. The puppets made by the puppet martial school were priceless treasures in the whole True Spirit continent. Perhaps Miss Feng has some information about the puppet martial school?" Yi Chen did not think that she was just joking. He could tell how powerful the puppet martial school was from some of the details. For example, the Murin gang in the Sky Cloud martial school. Although the wooden men there were only at the mortal realm, they were extremely useful for the outer disciples. Battling with the wooden men, they would not need to worry about killing them, and could fight as much as they wanted to. As a rank 5 martial school, the puppet martial school would naturally have puppets that were 10 times better than the wooden men. Feng Yanro nodded. "Near the Blue Mountain Island, there is a branch of the puppet martial school. It is hidden in the deep part of the lake. There is a lot of hidden currents, and the water flow is very strange. It is extremely hard to get close to it. Without special methods, one would not be able to reach the outer area of the ruins. Mr. Yi, if you are interested, we can search for the ruins together at the right time. Thank you, Miss Feng. Yi Chen is indeed interested in the things of the puppet martial school. Even a puppet chicken with no battling power could make Yi Chen interested, not to mention the treasures in the ruins. He would not let it go. Plus, she had always wanted to return the favor, and this would fulfill her wish. The tea was very fragrant. The two stopped talking and started to enjoy the tea. Qingzhu was not as calm as the two, and she was very curious. Her senior sister Feng was always calm, which was understandable. But why did Yi Chen look so calm as well? Under normal circumstances, it would be very awkward to suddenly stop talking, but when the two did not talk, it gave people a very peaceful and harmonious atmosphere. She felt like she could hear a clear stream flowing slowly, which was very poetic. The gathering went on for 2 hours, and half of the time, it was a strange silence, which made Qingzhu complain. After the gathering, Yi Chen found a restaurant and checked in. As for Feng Yanrou and Qingzhu, it was in the Blue Mountain City. Time flew, and it was the second day. After playing with the puppet chicken for a while, Yi Chen left the Blue Water City and flew toward the Blue Mountain City. The astral reaching realm battles in the Blue Mountain City were extremely popular. Feng Yanrou, who had just gotten on the stage, had already reached 43 wins in a row. With another 7 wins, she would become one of the rare warriors with 50 wins in a row. 50 wins in a row not only represented glory, but even the spirit stones would be enough to make normal astral reaching realm warriors jealous. In the 44th battle, Feng Yanrou met a powerful warrior. It was a warrior who had won 50 battles in a row a couple of months ago. His weapons were 2 short spears, one of which had an icy cold aura while the other had a fiery aura. It was indeed a warrior who trained both ice and fire. It was not impossible to have 2 types of Jin Yuan, since a lot of people chose to train 2 different martial arts at the same time. However, it was very rare to train both to such a high level, and their battling power would be way more powerful than warriors at the same level. Of course, there was another possibility, which was that the martial art could change the element of the Jin Yuan at will. This warrior was obviously the latter. Facing such a powerful opponent, Feng Yanrou used all of her battling power. All she needed was to perform her low-rank profound sword movement, Ice Snow Sword Realm. After 100 attacks, the warrior had lost. Judging on overall power, he was still not as powerful as Feng Yanrou. He did not even have the power to force her to use her Ice Snow Sword Realm. After this battle, the next few battles were not that interesting. The people who went up to challenge her were only trying to see the difference between them and extreme astral reaching realm warriors, preparing for the future. Finally, the official of the Blue Mountain Nation could not wait any longer, and sent out 2 extreme astral reaching realm warriors to stop Feng Yanrou. After so many battles, Feng Yanrou's habits and movements had basically been figured out, and they had come up with a battle plan for her. As soon as the battle started, Feng Yanrou was at a disadvantage and almost lost. Without a choice, Feng Yanrou performed her Ice Snow Sword Realm, relying on her powerful defense and switching between offense and defense. She managed to beat her opponent with her overwhelming power. With the powerful Ice Snow Sword Realm, Feng Yanrou won all the way and got the honor of 50 wins in a row. There had only been 25 warriors with 50 wins in a row in the entire Blue Mountain Island. Including Feng Yanrou, it would be 26. After leaving the Blue Mountain City, Yi Chen continued to head to the Blue Mountain City. The battle between the mysterious Moon Prince and the Blue Mountain City was coming to an end. He was indeed very talented. After getting 50 wins in a row yesterday, he had gotten 60 wins in a row, and it seemed to be even easier than Feng Yanrou. Of course, it did not mean that the mysterious Moon Prince was definitely more powerful than Feng Yanrou. With Yi Chen's experience, he could tell that in these few battles, the mysterious Moon Prince's battling style and methods had changed a lot. If the challengers wanted to make a battle plan for him, it would be hard for them to succeed. Instead, they would be caught off guard and lose the upper hand. If I had not come out, I would not have known. The number of top martial geniuses out there is unimaginable. On one island, there are already 2 horrifying top martial geniuses. Feng Yenro's specialty lies in her sharpness and decisiveness, while Mysterious Moon Prince's specialty lies in the word illusion. His style and methods are ever-changing. There should be a lot of battles in the Blue Water City already. Let's win today's battle first. His body flashed once, disappearing from the audience seating of the battling arena. Blue Water City, on the battling field, 17 wins in a row. Yi Chen has already gotten 17 wins in a row. Who is willing to challenge him? Alright, Lu Zhendong is up. He is also a warrior with 10 wins in a row yesterday. His blade art is fast like lightning, which is quite similar to Yi Chen's style. Now, let me see which is faster, Yi Chen's sword or Lu Zhendong's blade. Lu Zhendong had left a deep impression on people. A lot of people thought that he had the power to get more than 30 wins in a row. However, even more people did not understand why he was doing this. They thought that it would not be too late to challenge him after he had gotten a higher winning record. If he went up now, even if he won, he would be exposing his true power. Even if my winning streak ends, I can always start over again. I, Lu Zhendong, will not be afraid of anyone. Holding the Blue Mountain Island standard long blade, Lu Zhendong walked up to the battling field. Please. Yi Chen stood where he was quietly. Lu Zhendong's right hand held the blade hilt as he slightly lowered his body and said, "Be careful. Yesterday was not my limit. The battle between you and me will only take 3 attacks. Let's begin." Yi Chen did not plan to beat his opponent with one sword attack. There was a trick to this battle, which was to never reveal your full power too early, in case of an awkward situation where no one would challenge you. Blade drawing art. The simple blade drawing art had a magical effect in Lu Zhendong's hands. Once the blade was pulled out, the blade light flashed in the air, and the blade edge sliced toward Yi Chen's chest. Ting! A sword blocked out the blade edge. It was Yi Chen's sword. Not many people had seen how Yi Chen had pulled out his sword. They only knew that the second Lu Zhendong's blade appeared, Yi Chen's sword was already there waiting for him. What a great technique to control the sword with qi. Lu Zhendong frowned, wanting to back out and avoid the sharp edge. However, Yi Chen did not give him the chance. After the first sword attack, the second one followed closely, pushing away the long blade in Lu Zhendong's hand. The third one pierced through his protective Jin Yuan layer and landed on his throat. 3 consecutive sword attacks, without any gap at all. Looking at the sword in front of him, Lu Zhendong relaxed his body. "I have lost. Your sword is indeed faster." Crack! Only then did the special metal cast surface of the battling field finally show a few deep blade marks. It could not even keep up with Yi Chen's sword speed. Inside the VIP room, the mysterious Moon Prince and the tall young man were both there. The latter touched his chin. "This is a bit tricky. His sword is very fast, and very consistent." The mysterious Moon Prince said lightly, "Keep the distance and avoid close combat. As long as the distance is enough, no matter how fast his sword speed is, it will be useless. Use your long-range attack to suppress him. A sword artist's defense is not that high. I am not afraid of him in close combat either. It is just a bit tricky. I can't wait for tomorrow." The tall young man licked his lips. Chapter 395. After beating Lu Zhendong, Yi Chen had won 2 battles in a row, successfully achieving 20 wins in a row. For 10 wins in a row, the first battle reward would be 1,000 mid-rank soul stones, the second 2,000, the third 3,000, the fourth 4,000, and so on. From 11 to 20 wins in a row, the first battle reward would be 1,200 mid-rank soul stones, the second 2,000, the third 3,000, and the fourth 4,000. In total, Yi Chen had earned a total of 57,000 mid-rank soul stones. Since after 10 wins in a row, there was no need to pay the entrance fee, all of these 57,000 mid-rank soul stones belonged to Yi Chen. In just 2 days, Yi Chen had earned 107,000 mid-rank soul stones. It had to be said that the battles in the Blue Mountain Island were simply giving spirit stones to the powerful warriors. As for those normal warriors at the same level, they could only be the audience. For 10 wins in a row, one would get a 10-win tag, and for 20 wins, one would get a 20-win tag. However, one would have to hand in their original tag in order to exchange for a 20-win tag. Old Wu, what do you think of this kid? Inside a VIP room, 5 astral-reaching realm warriors were sitting side by side. If Yi Chen were here, he would be able to tell that the 6 of them were all extreme astral-reaching realm warriors, and 2 of them were even more powerful than the white robe blade artist. The one who spoke was the second person in the middle, who looked to be in his 50s. Hearing him, the elder named Wu said with a low voice, "For now, I cannot tell what his bottom line is. We can keep him under observation." The middle-aged man nodded and forced a smile. Mysterious Moon Prince has already won 60 wins in a row, and Feng Yenro has won 50. They are both rather tricky to deal with. It seems like we will have to use continuous battles to deal with them. The battles are not normal competitions, and there will be no rest in between. No matter how powerful they are, after battling for more than 5 battles in a row, they will be exhausted, and their Jin Yuan will be severely consumed. Yeah, the first one we have to deal with is Mysterious Moon Prince. We cannot let him continue winning. 70 wins in a row is already beyond our bottom line. Old Man Wu rubbed his temples and said, "As for this kid, after 40 consecutive victories, organize a group of people to reveal his trump card." The 6 of them were all powerful warriors from the Blue Mountain Nation, and they were the main force of the attack. Each of them was extremely powerful. Perhaps one of them could not beat Mysterious Moon Prince and Feng Yenro, but if they fought one after another, as long as their power was not too much higher than theirs, they would all be killed. After so many years, only one person had been able to reach the completion of the arena battles, which was 100 wins in a row. Yi Chen didn't know that he had already been listed as a key observation target. Of course, even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Let alone taking turns to fight, so what if he fought as a group? If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid that no one would be able to challenge him, he would only need one sword to settle each match. However, for Mysterious Moon Prince and Feng Yenro, the most deadly challenge was about to come. The next day, the Blue Mountain City where the Mysterious Moon Prince was located was extremely lively. The horrifying sound waves could be heard from hundreds of miles away. The air had been distorted by the vibrations. On the stage, the Mysterious Moon Prince was not as calm as he used to be. He was sweating profusely, and there were traces of blood on his body. The source of the blood came from the wounds on his body. He was wounded. Up until now, he had gone through 5 battles, and each of his opponents were extreme astral-reaching realm warriors. Judging on individual power, they were all a bit weaker than him. Normally, he would not care about them at all. However, right now, every time he exchanged attacks with one of them, he would lose 30% of his Jin Yuan. Even if he had swallowed some Jin Yuan replenishing pellets, he would not be able to recover it in time. In the first battle, he had gained the upper hand completely. The second battle was a bit more intense, and the third battle was a tie. The fourth battle was extremely hard for him to win. In the fifth battle, he was at a disadvantage for the first time. Although he managed to turn the situation around and win the battle, he was wounded as well. What was more serious was that he did not even have 40% of his Jin Yuan left. In the sixth battle, the Mysterious Moon Prince had no choice but to accept the result of his defeat. However, his winning streak still impressed the audience. 65 wins in a row. He is indeed the top martial genius of the Wavy Cloud region. I guess no one will be able to break this record in the next year. Yeah, 65 wins in a row is already enough for him to be ranked 14th in the Blue Mountain Island. Plus, he is still so young. If he fights again next year, he might be able to reach 70 wins in a row. The Blue Mountain Island is getting more and more prosperous. Although there were some top martial geniuses who came here before, it would not be like now. Every year, there would be 3 to 5 top martial geniuses coming here to challenge the ranking. While the audience was discussing, the mysterious Moon Prince got off the stage. This Blue Mountain Nation is indeed not to be underestimated. Even you could only last 5 battles. The tall young man walked over with his arms crossed. The mysterious Moon Prince said lightly, "Although I did not manage to make it into the top 10, it is still okay for me to be the champion this year. Let's go check out the Blue Mountain City." On the battling platform of the Blue Mountain City, Feng Yenro's 10th battle had begun. Since there were 7 extreme astral reaching realm warriors going to the Blue Mountain City, and there were only around 10 of them in the whole city, Feng Yenro only had 2 extreme astral reaching realm warriors from the Blue Mountain Nation. After 2 or 3 tough battles, the rest of the battles were very one-sided. Of course, Feng Yenro had also used 90% of her power, so she did not have any hidden cards left. The opponent in the 10th battle was not that powerful, so Feng Yenro managed to get 60 wins in a row. 60 wins in a row. Another 60 wins in a row. In the past few years, there were not that many people who could get 50 wins in a row. But this year, there are already 2 in a month. Mysterious Moon Prince and Feng Yenro. These 2 are definitely the top martial geniuses of the Blue Mountain Island this year. Plus, they are both equally handsome. Speaking of which, there is also a young man in the Blue Water City, who is even younger than the mysterious Moon Prince. Right now, he has already gotten 20 wins in a row, and his sword speed is extremely fast. Some people said that he had killed 13 people with one sword attack outside the city. His power is even more powerful than his performance in the battles. You are talking about Yi Chen, aren't you? I have seen his battles. Indeed, he is powerful, but he is still a lot weaker than the mysterious Moon Prince and Feng Yenro. As for killing 13 people with one sword attack, I guess they were just normal mid-astral reaching realm warriors. The more rumors spread, the more miraculous they become. Just ignore them. Yeah, killing 13 people with one sword attack. I also think it is a bit ridiculous. The only explanation is that the opponents were very weak. Feng Yenro's battle is over. Let's go to the Blue Water City and see. Alright. Among the 10 challengers, there were 2 extreme astral reaching realm warriors and 4 top astral reaching realm warriors. After a series of battles, it was only because of Feng Yenro that she was able to handle them. If it were another extreme astral reaching realm warrior, he or she would have lost already. One had to admit that as a disciple of a big martial institution, he or she would have a huge advantage in battles of attrition. First of all, they would have top-rank Earth Realm pellets to replenish their Jin Yuan, since normal pellets would not be useful in this kind of intense continuous battles. Secondly, the martial arts that the disciples of the big martial institutions trained were all top-rank Earth Realm, which would increase their Jin Yuan and make them last longer. Thirdly, the disciples of the big martial institutions had also trained some supplementary martial arts, which could save their Jin Yuan and increase their battling power. With all these 3 factors combined, they had the right to get to 60 wins in a row. Without any surprise, 60 to 70 wins in a row would be the real battle of attrition. Those who could make it through would have to have a very high requirement. In terms of willpower, they would have to have trained their martial spirit, and they would also have to have their own understanding of poetic perspectives. All the other aspects would have to be at the top. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen left the battling field of the Blue Mountain City. In the battling field of the Blue Water City, a lot of people were waiting for Yi Chen to appear. After all, the previous 20 battles had already given Yi Chen quite a bit of fame, not to mention that he was still so young. Living up to expectations, Yi Chen continued to get 9 wins in a row. He would beat his opponents within 10 attacks, and none of his opponents could be underestimated. Among the 9, 6 of them were normal late astral reaching realm warriors, while the other 3 were powerful astral reaching realm warriors. Perhaps because they had recognized Yi Chen's sword speed, the 6 of them were all unique in terms of speed. They wanted to increase the distance between them and suppress Yi Chen from a long distance. However, Yi Chen's long-distance attacks were even more powerful than theirs. The 6th movement of the Green Lotus Sword art formed a huge sword light, which swept out in a circle. There was no place for them to hide. 29 wins in a row. Today, Yi Chen only has one battle left. Who wants to be the last challenger? The Elder in Black said with a smile. I'll fight him. I hope I can enjoy it to my heart's content. As soon as he finished speaking, a tall youngster jumped onto the stage. It was precisely the companion of mysterious Moon Prince, Huang Kaishan. Cloud Billow Region's Red Water Sect's second disciple, Huang Kaishan, is actually going on stage. This Huang Kaishan has never participated in the battles. I wonder what realm his strength is at. It can't be bad. Red Water Sect is a 6th grade sect. As the second disciple, even if Huang Kaishan's strength isn't on par with mysterious Moon Prince's, he must still be very powerful. Many people recognized Huang Kaishan's identity, and their expectations for this battle soared. Rumble. A tsunami sound rose from the ground as Huang Kaishan's Jin Yuan surged. A dark yellow qi current swept out in all directions like a tide. The Elder in Black couldn't help but take a step back. Huang Kaishan's aura was too powerful, suppressing his qi and blood, and making his chest feel stifled. Take my fist first. With a low roar, Huang Kaishan's legs slightly separated as he threw out a fist towards Yi Chen along with a horrifying sound wave. The air was instantly torn apart, and the void was filled with cracks. This punch gave off the feeling of a dam bursting and a flood gushing out. Yi Chen was like a small tree in front of the flood, about to be snapped and destroyed at any time. It was an intense visual impact. Yi Chen's expression did not change as he casually took out his long sword and slashed out 3 times. Swoosh! Swoosh! The sword light crisscrossed, and the fist power was split into 4 or 5 parts. Not bad. That fist attack was just an appetizer. If you can take the next one, then you will barely be qualified to fight with me at full power. Huang Kaishan curled his lips. Yi Chen's strength was somewhat out of his expectation. Activating his Jin Yuan, he threw out a second fist attack. This fist attack was extremely powerful, and the fist power even produced thunder and lightning. It was not created by the thunder mentality, but by the friction of the power. No need to resist. You should take my sword first. His body flashed as Yi Chen's long sword directly cut into the fist power. He slashed out once, and the sword qi tore through the sky, leaving a huge vacuum sword mark in the void. It looked like the entire space of the arena had been split in half. It was a powerful counterattack. You're tuning into the Passion Page's YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.